First is the Princess Juliana International Airport, St. Martin, Caribbean. A lot of vacationers flock to the Caribbean for a laid-back vacation. But arriving at the region's airports can have the opposite effect. The compact, rugged nature of many of the islands forces runways to be built in inventive locations. At this airport, named after Dutch royalty, people gnaw at their fingernails in the air and on the ground whenever a plane lands. The runway starts mere meters from the edge of the ocean, with aircraft coming in almost low enough over the beach to spike a volleyball set. Next is the Courchevel Altiport, France. Unlike Caribbean-bound passengers, skiers and snowboarders touching down at Courchevel are usually geared up for an adrenaline fix. They had better be. In winter, the tarmac airstrip at the French resort's Altiport, more than 2,000 meters above sea level, is often the only thing not covered in snow. Aircrafts flying through a channel between mountains, landing on a short, steeply sloping runway complete with vertical drop-off that could almost double as a ski jump. The Matakani airstrip, Lesotho, is another. There is little chance of extending this runway very far. It ends abruptly at the edge of a 600-meter drop. Only light aircraft use the airstrip on this remote tabletop plateau in the tiny southern African kingdom. Lastly, Wancho Raskin Airport, Saba, Caribbean. On the island of Saba lies one of the world's shortest landing strips. Wedged on a rocky outcrop at the foot of a mountain, and with the end of the tarmac plunging into the sea, touchdown here is a dramatic experience.
It has been a record-breaking 60-second edition of the Farnborough International Air Show, with over 1,500 exhibitors taking part. The opening day came with a fly past by the Royal Air Force Red Arrows. The flying display brought out the newest aircraft from the hangars of both Airbus and Boeing. First, the Airbus A350-900 XWB in a hybrid Qatar Airways livery. Then the Boeing 787-9 in all its glory. Security and defence also had its day, with the UK Prime Minister saying his country is focusing on re-rolling the UK Armed Forces to focus on emerging threats.
Over the last 2 years, we've come in and we've taken a defence budget that was frankly falling apart at the seams, and we have sorted it out. The deficit is gone. It is now properly funded. This isn't some exercise in accounting for its own sake. It's allowed us to turn the unfunded wish list that we inherited into real commitments. New Chinooks, new work on the Warrior programme, an upgrade to our reconnaissance and intelligence gathering capabilities. Our armed forces deserve nothing less. But I don't see this as an either-or situation, buying for value on the one hand or buying British on the other. There is much more we can do to join the dots, to think in a more careful way about how to back this industry while getting the best deal for the Ministry of Defence and the taxpayer as a customer.
For helicopter manufacturer Augusta Westland, It used this event to mark the military type certification of its AW-149 multi-role helicopter. Aircraft sales are the biggest news at any air show, and Farnborough didn't disappoint. Bombardier, the Montreal-based aircraft maker, signed agreements for 6 Q400 next-gen turboprops and announced 40 new orders for its yet-to-be-released C-Series jet. Bombardier also used the airshow to introduce a cargo passenger version of the Q400 that can carry up to 3,690 kg of cargo and 50 passengers. Then the two major airplane makers, Airbus and Boeing. Airbus beat rival Boeing in the aircraft order stakes, garnering nearly twice as many orders and commitments. Airbus has its orders and commitments for 496 aircraft valued at $75 billion. Demand for its A320neo or new engine option was particularly strong. Boeing meanwhile secured business worth $40.2 billion for 201 airplanes. Demand is high as customers are increasingly interested in new generation, energy-efficient planes to offset huge increases in the price of jet fuel. Though Airbus clinched more deals at Farnborough, Boeing insists it has won more in the year to date. It put its figure at 783 against Airbus's 645. Industry leaders also took time to ask for more commitments to research and development. The Farnborough Airshow had its origins in the annual RAF Airshow at Hendon from 1920 to 1937. Initially an annual event, the show has been biennial since 1962. It's a week-long event that combines a major trade exhibition for the aerospace and defense industries with a public air show. The event is held in mid-July in even-numbered years at Farnborough Airport in Hampshire, England. The first 5 days are dedicated exclusively to trade, with the final 2 days open to the public. On the local scene, Overland Airways, one of the leading domestic airlines in Nigeria, has announced the commencement of scheduled flight services from Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, to the new Dutse International Airport in Jigawa State. Overland Airways will commence thrice weekly flights, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, to Dutse from Abuja and then return. Flights to Dutse will depart Abuja at 9:30 a.m. and arrive Dutse at 11:15 a.m., while the flight from Dutse to Abuja will depart at 11:45 a.m. and arrive Abuja at 1:30 p.m. Away from new connections to the resolution of the licensed customs agents' lockdown of the cargo unit. First, a peaceful protest. Then a meeting involving all principal actors. Meeting over. The national president of the licensed custom agent speaks.
We had a meeting with the NCAA, the customs area controller, the NACO MD, the airport commandant, the police representatives, and the head of SSS, and other stakeholders, including ourselves. And it was unanimously agreed that our stand was right, and the NCAA should go and enforce it. We have decided to go back to work in good faith, hoping that NCAA will be able to do what they are expected to do. We have started work, we'll continue to work, but we will not pay airline charges, because we don't need that document we collect from airline in order to process our job, pay duty to government, and pay the handlers.
Statistics from the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria (FAN) show that cargo movements in kilograms at the Lagos airport alone in the first quarter stood at 40,607,000. Away from home, The Zimbabwe market is poised for growth as new African low-cost carrier group FlyAfrica.com prepares to launch services by the end of July 2014 using a Zimbabwean air operator's certificate. FlyAfrica plans initially to link the Zimbabwean resort town of Victoria Falls with Johannesburg, a market burdened with high fares and controlled by two South African full-service airlines. FlyAfrica will become only the 7th African LCC and is aiming to become the second Pan-African LCC group after FastJet. FlyAfrica is gradually aiming to establish affiliates throughout Africa, following the model used by FastJet since the late 2012. FastJet is meanwhile planning to launch services in August to the Zimbabwean capital Harare with a new route from its base in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. FastJet, which is now in the process of launching an affiliate in neighboring Zambia, is also looking at potentially establishing a Zimbabwean affiliate with the goal of entering the lucrative Harare-Johannesburg route. Sadly, a Malaysian Airlines flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur has crashed in eastern Ukraine. There were 280 passengers and 15 crew members on board. Ukrainian Interior Minister said all on board are dead, and that the plane was shot down by Russian ground-to-air anti-aircraft missiles at 32,000 feet and at 500 miles per hour. The plane, a Boeing 777, came down near the city of Donetsk, which is a border between Russia and Ukraine, where a Ukrainian transport plane was shot down at 21,000 feet on Monday, July the 13th, and a military jet shot down last week from the Russian side of the border. The Interior Minister said pro-Russian separatists have been hunting down their planes for weeks. 6 Ukrainian military jets have been shot down in the last few months by the Russians. There's been military conflict between Ukraine and Russia for a while. The plane departed Amsterdam at 12:30 p.m. and then went down around 4:30 p.m. This report of a downed Malaysian flight marks the second time this year that Malaysian Airlines has faced an accident involving a plane. On March the 8th, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 disappeared. That plane had 239 people on board. Despite extensive search, there has been no trace of the MH370 or its passengers.
The initial response of the Russian ambassador was to blame Ukraine for this, and I have to say that is deeply, deeply unsatisfactory. We all know that there are problems in Ukraine. We also know who is very substantially to blame for those problems, and the idea that Russia can somehow say that none of this has anything to do with them because it happened in Ukrainian airspace, frankly does not stand up to any serious scrutiny.
Officials in the US and Ukraine have indicated that Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was shot down. Should this be confirmed, it will be contravening international law and be an outrage against human decency. Malaysia condemns any such action in the strongest possible terms and calls for those responsible to be swiftly brought to justice.
Hope you enjoyed our show for today. You can also send in story ideas or comments on what you'd like to see on the program. Please do keep in touch with us via our feedback platform. I'm Bukola Joe Ketumbi. See you next time.